Hi guys, Becca here. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about some recent updates that has been made by the UK government. I'm going to be talking about the good, the bad, the ugly, okay? So the good are things that have already been implemented and yet to take place. The bad and the ugly are things that are proposals that are still in the pipeline, that is still being considered by Parliament. And all of these things that I'm going to be discussing is the UK's plan to step down or to curb the net migration. Recent studies have shown that the UK's net migration has raised to more than 50%. And so every plan the Parliament is taking now is to curb migration and to make sure that immigrants that come into the UK are limited in numbers. So the first thing, which is the good part of the whole deal, which was passed yesterday by Parliament, I mean, by the time I'm posting this video, it might no longer be yesterday, but the recent news that has been passed by Parliament is that the UK is going to increase the minimum wage by 9.8% effective April 2024, which means that if at first you were originally paid at a rate of £10.42 per hour, you are now going to be paid at a rate of £11.44 per hour, which is going to be the minimum salary that every worker in the UK is qualified to be paid. It means that no employer can pay you less than £11.44 per hour. And I think this is exciting news, especially for those that are on minimum wage. It means that no employer in the UK can employ you and pay you less than £11.44. The second exciting news is that the UK is going to decrease the NI, which is the national insurance, which is the money that are taken from your salary apart from your tax. They're going to be reducing this NI by a whopping 2%, okay? So from 12%, it's going to come down to 10%, which is going to save the average salary earner of about £400 per annum, which I feel it is exciting news. And I mean, if this is implemented, which is going to be effective in January 2024, you are going to be seeing significant changes or decrease in your NI payment, which is substantially going to increase your take-home salary. The bad. So this is the bad, okay, which are all proposals that has not been yet implemented, but there are things that are being considered due to the net migration and due to all that is happening. So the UK, number one, is proposing to increase the minimum salary or the entry salary for immigrant workers on skilled worker visa to £30,000 per annum. And if you critically look at this, it means that if you're coming to the UK, even as a nurse, and you're going to be working for like the NHS, the entry point for every immigrant nurse on a band 5 salary outside of London is about £28,000 per annum. It means that if you're coming in as an immigrant nurse and you're going to be working for the NHS, you are not going to meet this minimum entry salary threshold, which is going to be difficult for the NHS and for immigrants alike. So I don't know how people feel about this proposal, but I don't think it is too much of a good news to immigrants and even to the NHS. It means that immigrant nurses especially are going to be turning to go to the care homes because the care homes obviously pay more than the NHS, and you can get a care home that will give you a minimum entry requirement of about £32,000, which will make you eligible to move into the UK. If you're coming to the UK as a healthcare assistant, that is even going to be something that is going to be really, really difficult because the average salary of a healthcare assistant is about 26,000 thereabout. If you are in inner London, you're going to be seeing something about 27,000 to 28,000, which is still below the minimum threshold. So it's going to be difficult for immigrants to come into the UK. And bearing in mind that all of these jobs are still on the shortage occupation list of the UK, it hasn't been amended, it hasn't been removed. And so if the salary threshold is increased to 30%, it's going to stop a lot of people from coming into the UK, which obviously is the original plan of the UK to stop or to decrease net migration. But at the same time, institutions like the National Health Service, which is the NHS, which is the biggest health facility of the UK, is also going to suffer subsequently. And we all know that immigrants form a huge percentage of the NHS staffing. Another ugly is also been proposed. It's also been proposed that the UK is going to allow one dependent per one immigrant. This is because they have realized that a lot of immigrants, when they are coming to the UK, they have large amounts of immigrants, let's say 3 children, 4 children, 5 children, that they are coming with into the UK, which is also increasing the population, which obviously is the truth. But come to think of it, if one immigrant is allowed to bring in one child with them as their dependent, what is going to happen with people that have more than one child? Let me put myself as an example. If I were to be coming with one child and I know I have 3 kids, Which of these children am I going to bring? It's going to be difficult for every immigrant. It's just like telling people not to come at all, because if you are coming to a country to work, not to school, do you get? You are coming to work, because already students from January can no longer bring dependents at all. But if you're coming to work, it's a long-term something. It's not something that is going to finish today or tomorrow. It's a rolling contract which you are going to be renewing your visa towards settlement in the UK. So telling somebody to bring just one child, the other children, how will they feel? They will feel neglected. It's going to bring about family breakdowns. So all is a proposal, but we are just hoping and keeping hopes alive and fingers crossed that it's not going to be implemented, because I can't imagine somebody like myself having to immigrate to a country where it's not like I have the opportunity to bring my children at what time I choose, but I am limited to bringing a specific number of dependents that I must bring. Do you get? So it's kind of tricky, and immigrants are going to suffer it. The system is going to suffer it. So I don't think it's really a good proposal for me if they are going to be putting this in place. Now, the ugly, those that are coming to the UK with fake or paid certificates of sponsorship. Now it's no longer news. We all know that it's all over the social media. There is this update that is not good. And when we tell people do not pay for certificate of sponsorship, they feel like you are discouraging people, or you're not telling people the truth, or you feel like you don't want people to travel. If you travel or not, I don't think it changes anybody's status in the UK, or it changes anybody's socioeconomic status. But it's just to tell you that do the right thing, travel right. How would you feel working in a country where you have the liberty, the freedom to do everything that makes you happy, and you have the money to fast track or to, propel all these things to happen? We are just telling you to do things the right way. What is happening is that if you are coming to the UK with a certificate of sponsorship, we have what we call the contract. The contract is what the employer has given to you. That paper they've given to you to show that you have this job, which is stating the amount of hours that you are eligible to do. Based on that job, the UK Home Office issued you what we call the certificate of sponsorship, and you use that to apply for your visa to come into the UK. When you came to the UK, you realize that the job is not there, or the hours are not there. What this literally means, straightforward, because a lot of people are asking me this question, what this means straight to the point is that it's a breach of immigration, it's a breach of contract at the same time. It means that the employer has breached immigration clauses. You as the employee, you have also breached immigration clause, because guess what? You have an NI number. Everybody that comes to the UK, you have your biometric resident card, which has your NI number. And this NI number is linked to the HMRC, is linked to a lot of things that you do. If this NI number is traced, the Home Office and the HMRC can actually see how much you earn in a year or in a month. It's easy. You can even download it. It's an app. You can download it on your phone where you can track your income that you receive from every salary that you take. Now, you have been issued a skilled worker visa. You come to the UK. You don't have a job. It means you're not going to be paid. You don't have a salary. So when we look at your NI, yes, you have a skilled worker visa, but you don't have a job, because there is no money that is flowing through your salary. It means two things. It's either you are taking salary and you are not paying your taxes, which is illegal, or you are breaching immigration. And when you do this thing subsequently for 4 months, I inquired from a lawyer. If you do these things subsequently for 4 weeks in the UK, it means you stand the chance of being deported. And now it is no longer news that the UK is deporting people, even at the point of entry at the border control. So we are just telling you guys to be very careful, be very cautious, use legit ways. What will happen if you have sold your properties, you have left everything behind to settle into a country, and then you've paid this huge amount of money to people only to come to a country just to be deported and going back and falling back to nothing? It's going to be quite humiliating, and it's going to have a ripping effect on a lot of things. So just do the right thing. Get your paperwork right, get your documentation right, put the right profession, or get the right professional statements, get your CV, get the right documents really to apply for these jobs, so that you do not have to fall into the hands of scammers or having to be deported to go back to fall on nothing. Because if by 4 weeks the Home Office is able to trace that you are not having a job in the UK because you are not having any earnings in your NI, it is a red flag for you, and it's not a good news at all that anybody would like to hear. So this is just a quick update that I have to bring to you guys. Thank you ever so much for watching, for constantly coming back to the channel. And until we meet again in my next video, guys, it's bye.